Everyone. So I wanted to be able to get the full review done for today, but I was unable to. So this is going to be a first impression on Mafia Old Country. We got to chapter 8, so that's where I'm coming at this from. And I just wanted to give kind of some pros, cons, what I'm liking, what I'm not liking from the game. And then tomorrow we should have our full, kind of thoughts on the game out. But I want to start off by saying that Mafia is one of the weirdest series I've ever played. In the sense of every game feels like it could be its own separate series. Like Mafia 1 and 2 were certainly, and you could watch some of our videos we did because we did them on Mafia 1, 2, and 3 all recently. But Mafia 1 and 2, okay, they're a little bit different, but 3 is completely different from the first two. Completely different games. And then we get to Old Country, and this one is completely different than all of the other ones. And when I was probably playing the first 2 hours, I was stunned at how much I loved it. It got to the point where, especially in those beginning hours, you don't even really feel like you're playing a game because you're just sitting there watching the story, and you really don't have to do anything that challenging in those first few hours. And it's like, holy crap, like this is just super cool, right? We're just having so much fun. You're meeting the characters. The setting is so awesome. I felt personally connected to the story probably within the first 30, 45 minutes of the game. Not many games could do that, right? Not many games can draw you in like that right off the jump. And I'm going to try not to spoil anything in kind of a first impressions video. Let me just tell you, there's story angles here. Even I'm not even through the whole thing, just up until chapter 8, that you're rooting for certain things to happen already. So that to me in a narrative driven game is exactly everything you want. The gameplay, it's kind of weird because the first time I shot a gun in this game, I was like, man, the combat is the worst of all the Mafia games. That's what I felt like. The combat did grow on me throughout the game. I will still say the combat in this, I didn't love it. In terms of shooting. Now there are kind of these knife fights throughout, which are, remember there was, I think it was Mafia 2, you had kind of the fighting things. Now this one they have a knife fight version of that. I loved every second of it. So that version of it's really good. That form of combat's good, but everything else, the shooting, I don't know. It's not terrible. It's not game breaking, but it's also nowhere near. Like Mafia 3 was the most fun combat, I think, out of all of them. The first two were perfect for what they were. This one, it's not bad by any means, but, and it grew on me a little bit. Still, there just aren't, there's certainly a lot of, fighting sections, but the stealth aspect is actually the part that's a little bit more fun. It's the part that I lean into the most, and the part that the game is kind of telling you to lean into the most. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because this game basically took the first three and said, okay, the first one was pretty narrative driven. The second one was a little bit open world, narrative driven, but still a little bit open world. And the third one, there was a story, obviously, but it was this huge open world, and there was a lot of, fighting and all of it, right? It was completely different. This one, they said, we're going to know exactly what we are, and we're just going to drop you into a narrative driven game. And I have to say, I love every second of it. This game, once again, only at chapter 8, but it knows exactly what it is at this point. Um, you know, that's basically for all the good stuff, I would say. Like I said, in our longer one, we're going to have a lot more, but I just got to say, this was phenomenal. Phenomenal, story driven. The setting's great. It looks cool. The characters, you kind of, there's some you like, there's some you don't like. Everything you would want in it. Now, if I had to tell people two things that I would kind of be like, all right, this is a negative about the game. First off, this game starts slow. Like I said, the story in the beginning is awesome and you're having a lot of fun. But if you bought this thinking you're going to have a Mafia 3 like experience in terms of going through, going out and being able to get in all this combat and all of that, that is not this game. There are moments up until chapter 8. Like I said, maybe in those second half it gets even crazier, but it's a very slow start and the combat is nowhere near what it was in Mafia 3 in terms of like Mafia 3, you know, you could have, it was just, you were going crazy, right? You're taking out all of these people very easily. This one, much more in the vein of Mafia 1 and 2. So that's basically all I have on it so far. It's a pretty simple game, and I'm saying that in the best way possible. What I mean by that is it knows exactly what it is, and it hits it out of the park in every way, shape, and form. So thank you all for watching. I cannot wait to finish this game. We'll see you next time.